and co-workers with integrity and genuine care. That's why I'm at Kelly's. It's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
If you enjoy the Dove, help spread the word. Tell someone who needs the love of Jesus about the Dove TV. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us. Spread the word.
This week on the John Ankerberg Show,
imagine never knowing the gift of love, joy, peace, and hope found in God's Word. For many, that's reality. They long to read it, but can't. For example,
over the years, we've been working with Bible translators, but when they get done with the translation, the majority of the people can't read it. They're non-literate.
So how can we help them?
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
The Dove Spring Boost. Pray about helping us reach our $128,000 goal during our remodel. Thank you from the Dove.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Happy Monday to you. Good morning to you. That's Jerry. That's all you need to know.
Good morning.
And he is wired and fired and ready to go. I have no idea what's going to come out of him today, but we're here. We're going to experience it live together.
It was that big.
What?
My coffee to go on the way in this morning.
You got one of those,
You know, I say I do my 3 cups. Mm-hmm. The third one was a doozy. Woo!
I can tell just by the heat coming off of this morning. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday. However, the day has started with sad news. Pope Francis has passed away late yesterday afternoon or early in the morning, actually. And this starts the process of going through the conclave and voting for a new pope. This is going to be interesting. Lots to talk about that. We will coming up, but it's all over the news this morning. Apparently, he just couldn't overcome. He did do an Easter message. It was very short, blessing to the church, and then it was announced at 9:45 a.m. This morning, third time. So I don't know how far Rome is ahead of us here. That he had passed away. So anyway, we'll keep you.
And he was 88, right?
88 years old. Right. Had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Even from the beginning. Yeah. From the beginning, he had a lot of problems. So, anyway, we'll have more on that coming up in just a few moments. Beautiful weather, very nice weather. Hope your Easter was delightful. Perfect weather, at least up and down the Pacific Northwest. What, all your eggs hard-boiled?
You know, some of them were actually deviled yesterday.
Oh, deviled. Yeah. Never did figure that one out.
I'll tell you, it was wonderful.
So they come from possessed chickens?
I don't know. You know, wouldn't it be great? Who's got the story of the origins of that name?
I don't know.
Huh?
I have no.
I would love to. You know, it just doesn't seem right on Easter eating deviled eggs.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Yeah. There's a real problem with that one. Anyway, good morning to you. Anything else going on?
Well, it is National Kindergarten Day.
Oh.
And each year on this date, the 21st, National Kindergarten Day honors the birthday of the man who started the first kindergarten. He was Friedrich Wilhelm August Frobel, and he lived from 1782 to 1852, and he's credited with starting the very first kindergarten in Germany in 1837.
Really?
Did you go to kindergarten?
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, they just moved me right to the first grade because my little farm community, we didn't have kindergarten.
Well, you guys were driving tractors
That's
before
right.
you went to first grade.
You know, that is true.
Well, you missed one of the most important parts of life.
What?
Falling in love with your kindergarten teacher.
You know what? I did. I saved that for my second grade teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Foley.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. I even remember. I remember one of the kids in the grade above me.
Yeah.
We got in a tumble, a little rumble out in the playground one day, and the teachers came in and broke us up. And I remember Miss Foley took me into the room and she tried to explain to me how everything, you're not supposed to fight. You can talk these things out. And then she gave me a hug. I remember that hug to this day. Miss Foley.
So,
Yes.
I tell you, somewhere around there it happens.
There you go. Anyway, it's also National Yellow Bat Day, which honors the Army. It's called National Yellow Bat Day. And this day in 1967, the Army activated the 265th Army Security Agency Company, the Airborne, with the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And the official insignia of the 265th is a bat with outstretched wings on a full moon rising with the motto, "Through the night below." And I guess it symbolically, the bat represents mystery and secrecy due to its nocturnal nature. And they sent this group off to Vietnam. And they had many, it's interesting, their history in Vietnam. And I'm sure there are some who know it.
All right.
But I can't explain it. It's
All
too
right.
much. They did too much. And it's national. And now here's a combination I haven't had. National Chocolate Covered Cashews Day.
Oh, really?
Chocolate covered cashews?
You haven't been those?
I never done that.
Well, you were too busy falling in love with your second grade teacher.
I think I'm talking too much. Wait a minute, it's too early for this.
No, they passed them out in class. You just never got any.
But I love cashews. I love chocolate. What's not to like about the combination? I guess.
This is it.
Huh?
This is a good one.
Yeah, and I think, and then we have this new device here.
Yeah.
Somebody in my church was listening intently, and it wasn't long ago, when I said something a little bit off the wall, and you went, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
And I said, "You know what? We should have a warning light for when I'm going to say one of those things." So.
You have a warning light?
I got a warning light.
Okay, let's put that right out in the middle where everybody can see it. Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
There it
right.
is right there.
So if you think you need it, there it is.
Oh, so instead of saying it, you just tap that?
Yeah, if I tap that, you can just say, "Whoa, think about it, Jerry."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one just turns it on solid. Second one does, and I think we need the flash.
Okay, so if I'm going to say something I shouldn't say,
Right.
I should stop and hit the button?
Hit the button.
Got
Right,
it.
and I'll do the same.
How come I didn't have this growing up?
Thank you, Shirley.
That's wonderful. Thank
And that's what we have today.
you. All right, good morning to you. Well, he's always pushing the button. Here it is.
With mostly sunny skies and springtime weather conditions, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly sunny and upper 50s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville, clearing to mostly sunny with a high near 58 in McMinnville with lows tonight in the upper 30s. Mostly sunny skies as we continue down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the upper 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 60 in Eugene with frost advisories tonight. In Central Oregon, sunny with daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s for Prineville, Bend, and Sun River with a light north wind this afternoon. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the low 60s. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny with a high in the mid-50s around Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy in mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 29 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the upper 60s for Grants Pass and Medford, and mid-60s around Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and low 60s with lows in the low 30s. Into Northern California, patchy frost, then sunny in upper 60s in Wairika. More sunshine from Redding through Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 83 and a northwest wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog mainly before 9 a.m., then sunny in Santa Rosa with a high near 79 and Napa near 80. Sunny in San Francisco with a high in the low 70s and a light west wind this afternoon. And today in San Jose, sunny with a high near 81. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Well, there is a picture of a place we call home, better known as Southern Oregon's Rogue Valley. Absolutely gorgeous, right off the top of Roxy Ann this morning, looking out across the valley westward. And if you look out there, that dark spot in between the lights, that's the airport. That's where we are.
And boy, did it get light quickly out there.
Well, you know, the days are getting longer.
My gosh.
Yeah, they go right up to about the end of June. It's the longest day of the year. So
it was dark when I came in. All right.
Well, you know, you were
But I moved slow.
You know, on a large cup of coffee, it was dark. God.
All right, now this is interesting. Dr. David Jeremiah here, he says that there are 3 callings in life for the believer, and he explores those callings right here.
Whether you know it or not, every single one of you has a calling. There are 3 callings in the Christian life. You're called to salvation, you're called to service, and one day you'll be called to heaven. And because you're here tonight, the 3rd calling hadn't happened yet. And the first 2 you should be concerned about. If you haven't been called to Jesus, I'll give you an opportunity in a moment to hear that call and accept it. But most of us here are Christians and we've been called to serve. We just don't understand it's a calling. God has a calling on your life. He's equipped you to do something that nobody else can do. He's given you a gift that he gives to every Christian. And it's time that Christians begin to realize this is not something I have an option about. Almighty God has saved me and he's called me and I have a calling. You may not be able to preach. That's not that big of a deal. You may have a gift in whatever that you are gifted to do. I urge you to take what you know God has gifted you to do and draw a straight line from that to the kingdom of God and begin to use your calling for the greater good, for the kingdom of God and not the kingdom of this earth. You have a calling. Make the determination sometime in these days as to what that calling is. And many of you, you sit there and you hear me down deep in your heart, you're saying, I know what it is. I know I have that calling, but I'm not following that calling. I'm doing something else. You will never know the full joy of the Lord until you follow the calling he's placed on your life.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Now, I know that there are times in people's lives where there's confusion about what that calling is. How do you get a view of that? I mean,
that is so powerful.
It is, yeah.
The only thing I can tell you is this: when you get down to pray, you'll have peace about one, and you won't have peace about the other. You always go where the peace is, and usually the peace requires faith. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't calculate in your brain, but you have peace about it. And what confirms it's the right decision, when you get up, the devil will say, are you sure?
Yes, that's perfect. Absolutely.
That ought to let you know that you made the right decision.
Okay.
Now, I just want to slip something in here. Do you know how much gospel was preached over the last week?
Oh, good point, yeah.
Everywhere in the world, the message of Easter was being proclaimed.
Yeah.
Everywhere. No matter where you turned in media, it was there. In the various expressions and denominations and ways, the gospel was being preached at levels that were just remarkable. Everywhere you turned on YouTube, it was.
Yeah.
Wherever you went on television and radio, there it was. If you went on digital platforms, there it was.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, this ought to send a chill down you, because the Bible says that the gospel will be preached to the whole earth. Well, guess what? It's covering the earth. Media today, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And I came away with just going, wow. I mean, there is no excuse for people not hearing the gospel. And now they're confronted with what Pastor David Jeremiah is saying there. They're confronted with, do I accept it or reject it?
Right. Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
One guy said over the weekend, I forget who it was, he said, you know, the world promises you emptiness. The world's promises are empty. But the story of the cross and the tomb is empty, full of promises.
Oh, wow. Well put.
You know?
Yeah.
So take that with you today.
All
That's my message, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories. Of course, the big one as we speak, Pope Francis has died after a series of double pneumonia and everything else. And so anyway, this starts the process of going through conclave and bringing in all of the cardinals from around the world. Apparently, he'll be lying in state sometime around Tuesday or Wednesday, and they'll go through the process. The question is, what kind of a pope was he? He was obviously the first pope that came from Casa Santa Marta. In other words, he was from what country?
Yeah, where is that?
Not Argentina. Was it Argentina? Anyway, from Spanish descent.
Okay.
And the only thing I can say is that this is going to be an interesting time. This could be the most critical time in the history of the Catholic Church. Pope Francis clearly was left of center.
Was he woke?
At the end, he appeared to be.
Seems to be, yeah.
Okay, so the question will be is, a lot of his homilies and messages towards the end were very much culturally oriented more than theologically oriented.
Yeah.
The one that preceded him, Pope Benedict, now that pope was an amazing theologian. He wrote 2 books about Jesus, and I read the first one. Spot on stuff. But anyway, did he reshape the cardinals? You know, he fired a lot of people.
Okay.
He booted a lot of people out.
Right.
He was kind of Trumpish in his way of things, you know. But we'll see what happens. They'll go into a conclave probably in about a week or so, and here we go. We'll see what happens. There are about 6 people that are being named as potential successors. And some of them are to the left of Pope Francis.
Oh, really?
Can the church afford to do this?
I would doubt that.
So one thing the church has experienced, and that is, how can I say this? They have lost enormous financial support because the faithful can't control the hierarchy, but the faithful can control the income.
Right.
And they just weren't supporting the church because Pope Francis was pretty liberal in his thoughts and ways. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted. This will be, big news, obviously. It's not that it's unexpected. It actually was somewhat expected. And the fact that he got out of the hospital and was able to go back to the Vatican, he gave a short homily on Sunday, and then he passed away the next day. So, all right, a couple of other stories. The Supreme Court put a halt on President Trump's deportation for a while, at least the Venezuelan mess. And the question is, this isn't a no. It's like we want to study this a little longer.
It's a hold, isn't it?
It's a hold.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, Supreme Court Justice Alito came unglued.
Yeah.
He is ticked off at the court, even considering this, which tells me the court's got a big deal ahead of them. And I don't know where this is going to go, but it's on hold, and apparently till about the middle of May as to where they're going to go with this. I'm surprised that they did a hold.
Well, and especially these 2 that we're looking at right now, Kavanaugh and Barrett. What's up? What are they doing?
Well, it could be this. Now, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. They agreed to hear the case and oral arguments May 15th or something like that, which is, 3 or 4 weeks away. So they probably are saying, all right, why don't we just bundle all this stuff together and wait? Okay? What Alito is saying is, why did we put a hold on something that we're probably going to rule in favor of?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he's pretty ticked off about it. And this is very unusual to see a justice blast his colleagues.
Absolutely.
Very unusual. So is the court now, we know that the answer to this is almost rhetorical, is the court been politicized?
Seems to be, yep.
Okay. Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
More of that being pounded out today. So this Senator Van Hollen.
Oh, goodness, okay.
He's a Democrat from Maryland. And he takes off and goes to El Salvador to check on this bad person. We find out that the taxpayers did pay for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So,
of course.
Okay.
Yep.
Now he's coming back. You know what? And the outcry has been amazing. Now, other politicians are thinking about going over there and doing what he's doing, which is kind of crazy. The outcry has been horrible against him, as you can imagine. So guess what he does? He changes his tune. I am not defending the man. I'm defending due process.
Of course.
He is trying to distance himself from the person.
Sure.
Primarily because of the Gold Star families.
Exactly.
And the Gold Star families are winning this argument.
Right.
And they should.
Right.
There should be no difference between one crook and another.
Yeah.
And so he decided he's going to back up. Oh, I'm defending due process. No, you're not. You went over there to meet with this guy.
It was a stunt.
Yeah. So here's the question. I guess he ended up meeting with him after all.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, so it goes through this. The president wasn't in town. The vice president says no. President comes back, sets up the meeting. Yeah. Apparently, this looked like it was done at a country club somewhere. And so he meets with the guy and comes back, and he changes the tune that he's now defending due process. Why hasn't El Salvador sent him back? Because the law says if El Salvador sends him back, we'd have to receive him, and they're not doing it. Why? Because he's a crook.
Yeah.
And they cannot disprove that he's an MS-13 member.
Exactly.
They cannot disprove that his former wife filed charges against him.
Yes.
And the list goes on and on and on and on.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. This is a sad day in America when you have the left defending people like this, and this is supposedly one of the issues they're going to camp on. In the meantime, they have destroyed women's sports. Now they're going after crooks and want to give them the legalization of the day. All right. One last thing is that President Trump said over the weekend through Marco Rubio that if Russia and Ukraine don't come together, he's going to pull out of the deal.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, you mentioned in your last story that there are others that are probably going to go visit that prison. Well, Senator Riley Moore joined Fox Business and spoke about his visit to the infamous prison in El Salvador.
I did visit the prison, and part of this was a oversight mission that we were doing to visit the prison, see the security that's been provided to the country of El Salvador. Of the 14,000 individuals that are incarcerated in that prison, a few hundred of them are folks who have been deported from the United States. And I will tell you, it is a chilling scene in this prison. These are killers. The worst of the worst. We got to talk to some of these prisoners. They will tell you they are killers. And it is really tragic to see these young men who have decided to destroy their own lives, destroy their communities, destroy human life, locked up in this facility. But it is scary, and it is very tragic, seeing these folks that just all life has really just kind of left from them, and they are just some of the worst human beings that I have seen. Now, these pictures with Van Hollen, what I'm going to want to do here right now on your show is I want to call for Senator Chris Van Hollen to meet with the family of Rachel Morin, the murdered woman in Maryland, the mother of 5 children. He has not met with her at all, but he's meeting with an MS-13 gang member down in El Salvador. I am calling for Senator Chris Van Hollen to meet with Rachel Morin's family and give them at least the same amount of time that he is giving to an MS-13 gang member.
Very interesting.
Well, that's the point. And,
right.
And the family's from Maryland.
Yeah.
His state.
Yeah.
And he goes down to El Salvador. I mean, this whole thing is just absolutely ludicrous.
It's interesting that he's talking about, who these prisoners are in this institution. I was reading an article this morning. Remember John Walsh with America's Most Wanted? That program? Right. It's back. He's doing it with his son. I believe his son's name is Callahan. And in this interview that I'm reading with John Walsh, he talks about the fact the challenges now are great because the different types of bad guys that have come across the border. He says some countries emptied their mental institutions. Some of them definitely emptied their jails. These are the people that have come across the border that Trump's trying to get rid of, and now we have these political stunts trying to block. I think it's really interesting. I don't know if people realize what has come across our border.
Well, I think we're slowly learning this. By the way, when you look at, if you can pull yourself away from all of the emotions and everything, the border issue is causing President Trump's ratings to go up.
Okay.
So people are very concerned about it. They are becoming educated about it. They don't like this. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy that we'd be out running around trying to defend criminals. And so, all I can say is to the Democrats, God bless you guys, but you better think about what you're doing to yourself. You're auguring in so deep you'll never recover.
Yes, absolutely.
You cannot make sense of this. You cannot defend it.
Yep.
You just can't. And they're just, here they are, they came out with, years ago, the big thing was women's rights. Today they're destroying women's sports.
Absolutely.
So I think what's happening here, it doesn't take a PhD to figure this out. Doesn't take a college degree to figure this out. This is against nature, and nature's God. And people are saying, no, this is crazy. We don't want it.
Yeah, right.
So even though it's getting headlines, it's not the rule.
Yeah.
Now, the Supreme Court, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We'll have to wait and see
That'll
what
play
happens.
out. We'll see.
We'll play it out.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, okay. What do we? Oh, chocolate-covered cashews.
Cashews, yeah.
Where were you when that was covered in class?
Yeah, I must have been homesick. I must have been home with a broken leg or something.
Oh, there you go. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you got my love down in your soul. Yeah, you got my love.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Our goal at the Dove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at the Dove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at the Dove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you'd like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
He couldn't detect 2 separate babies, like 2 separate sacs, for sure. And so he looked at me and said, it's almost like they're conjoined. I was terrified. I was scared. And that was a prayer that I also prayed, like, God, give me peace. Help me get through this, to know you gave me these girls, and you knew from the beginning they were going to be conjoined, and I trust you.
Watch the 700 Club, Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Happy Monday to you. Hope your Easter was full of good things and the weather was beautiful. Like I said earlier, I was so excited to see so much gospel preached over this past week worldwide. Yeah. It was everywhere. The story of Jesus, the life of Jesus, what it means to us who believe. And boy, it was out there in so many levels and so many ways of expression that a lot of people heard, and you have to consciously reject it or accept it, one or the other. But it was really fantastic.
I was going to say, it was great Easter Sunday service yesterday. We had a full church. You probably did too. I'm sure churches across the valley were full. Mm-hmm. But afterwards, we had a baptism. Yeah. And over 20-some people got baptized, and 3 very special young ladies went too. Grandma and I had tears in our eyes.
Oh, really?
Oh,
3 of your granddaughters?
Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful.
Well, we had 2 in the first service, 8 in the second service.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right.
So the art to baptism, you hold them down till there's no more bubbles. I want to make sure they really believe it.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I like it.
That was a joke. There you go. All right, good morning to you. Well, listen, some backyard fun news. This is really kind of exciting. Guess what?
What?
The Cascade Boat Ramp at Hyatt Lake is now open.
Outstanding. How long has it been?
A couple of years.
Yeah.
Because of the droughts.
Wow.
This is pretty cool. The Bureau of Land Management is reopening the Cascade Ramp at Hyatt Lake with now the lake is at 84% capacity. Man, you know, a couple of years ago, you go out there and there was nothing. The lake was almost totally dry. Well, it's back up and going. And this is the highest level it's reached in several years. The lake, by the way, was recently stocked with sports fish, so that's coming up. It's located about 20 miles east of Ashland. You know what the elevation is there at High Lake? You have any idea what it is?
I really don't know.
What do you think it is? Any idea?
I would say, okay, if we're at 1375 around right where we're sitting, I would say Hyatt Lake is about, what, 1,700, 1,800?
No, it's 5,200.
No way.
Yes.
Is it really?
So you go straight uphill to it.
That is, yeah, there's snow.
Well, this is such a cool thing because for folks who had cabins around the south end didn't see water for several years.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's nice to see this back. By the way, it's also one of the places where it connects with the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, right.
So people who are walking the Pacific Crest Trail, that's one of the highlights to come out and see that lake. The day use is going to be first come, first served. So you have to go to BLM's High Lake page to get a permit.
All right.
But I just want to say, yahoo to Southern Oregon. This is good news.
Yeah.
Because this poor lake has really went through a tough time, but now it's good to see some water in it again. And
absolutely.
Thank you, Lord, for Hyatt Lake.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on weather-wise. Severe clear is dominating the Pacific Northwest, clear down from Mexico all the way up past Washington State. So nice weather. And it's not very hot. Actually, it's very pleasant.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Very pleasant.
Good out there. Okay, well, you know, all this transgenderism, we have plenty to talk about. And, you know, did you see Illinois weighed in now? They're joining the ranks of Maine in allowing men to compete against women, transgender men. So, but, you know, author J.K. Rowling, she is the Harry Potter author. And she has been kind of laying low because she has been a critic of the transgender movement from the left, and she's taken a lot of heat. Well, did you see? Isn't it this interesting? On Wednesday, the Supreme Court of England ruled unanimously that a woman is defined as a person who was born biologically a female, and that transgender women are no longer included in the legal definition of a woman. Author Rowling celebrated by posting the UK Supreme Court's ruling that transgender women aren't legally women in a celebratory post on X, and she's kind of taken a victory lap on this one. And I think it's interesting because, you know, we look at the UK as a little bit left of us.
Yeah, I think the UK is, all of Europe is starting to wake up and starting to push back.
So how is this now? They're actually saying what a woman is or what a woman isn't.
Yeah, and President Trump's been pretty clear about that. He even said it over the weekend. God only created two people, male and female.
Right.
So the question I have is, let me just say respectfully, you know how you handle a bully? You stand up against him.
Yeah, yes.
That's how you handle a bully. You stand up against them. You don't run and hide. And you say to these people, no. And parents and schools, and I want to say private schools, Christian schools, pull your sports team out of these organizations that allow this.
100%, absolutely.
Get out.
Yeah, yeah.
You cannot compromise on this. And so I would say parents, the most important thing in your life when you're raising children is your children.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a hard thing to do in today's world because when parents are both working and all that.
You know, that's true.
But
absolutely.
I got to tell you, don't put your kids through this.
Right.
You can't run the risk of some guy undressing in front of your daughter.
Yeah.
You can't run that, especially at in the teenage years. You can't do this.
And that's just one aspect. That is a very sensitive aspect. And then you got to go against the basic fairness issue. You know, why does anybody think it's fair for a boy to be competing against girls? I don't get it.
They are ruining girls' sports, and they're going to ruin girls' scholarships in sports.
Right. Title IX has been destroyed by this.
It's the way you stand up to bully, you say no.
Absolutely.
And these states are going to go against Trump because they hate Trump. Just a matter of time. They're going to break down on this.
Well, I got into this a little earlier. There are a couple comments here. The first one is from Lord Patrick Hodge talking about the Supreme Court decision in England. Let's listen in.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
This is not about prejudice or bigotry, as some people would say. It's not about hatred for another community. It's just about saying that there are differences, and biology is one of those differences.
Well, look, I'm glad to see the pushback, and hopefully it catches fire and we restore things for what it really should be.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting, too, because I know that there are some elements in our country that are kind of influenced by things that go on in Europe. You know, I think even elements of the progressive left are influenced. Will we see this influence come in and maybe help shape the opinions of some folks, saying, well, wait a minute, in England they actually defined what a woman is.
We're heading there. We're heading there. But look, at the end of the day, you know what this is?
What?
This is man trying to be God. This is man saying what God did. Well, first of all, what they're saying is there is no God because we can do this. We now have 47 different genders.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
So it's against nature, and nature's God. And so I hope what happens in England comes across the pond. But parents, stand up for your kids.
Yeah.
Say no.
Yes.
All right. We're going to say yes to something out there on the table. We'll be right back.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting the Dove.
Welcome back. Happy Monday to you. A lot going on. And boy, with the Pope passing, that's big news. But there's also some big news concerning the Middle East. Let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Efrem Graham. We want to turn now to the Middle East. The United States and Iran held their second round of talks about Iran's nuclear program. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, many in Israel are concerned the talks may fall short of eliminating Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons.
This Saturday, the two delegations held indirect talks in the Omani embassy in Rome.
I can say that the negotiations are moving forward.
Iran set forth its demands.
Definitely. Illegal sanctions against Iran must be lifted in a firm and verifiable manner, with guarantees to ensure their implementation. Iran keeping its technical and nuclear belongings is a must in this process. Meanwhile, we have said we are ready to cooperate in resolving any doubts or questions.
The demand that Iran keep its nuclear infrastructure intact alarms Israel. In order to persuade lead U.S. negotiator Steve Witkoff, Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer and Mossad Chief David Barnea met with Witkoff in Rome ahead of the talks. Israeli officials are worried U.S. demands won't go far enough and demand Iran destroy any ability to enrich uranium to the point where it can be used in nuclear weapons. They also fear the Americans won't demand Iran stop its advances on ballistic missiles that could deliver such weapons and destroy Israeli cities, even U.S. cities. On Friday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared Israel's bottom line. Iran's nuclear program has to be destroyed, either peacefully or by military strikes.
I am committed to preventing Iran from having nuclear weapons. I will not give in on this. Neither will I slacken or retreat on this, not even a millimeter.
In Washington, President Trump is sending two messages to Iran. One is talking tough.
And if they have a nuclear weapon, you'll all be very unhappy. You'll all be very unhappy.
Have you spoken with
Your life will be in great danger.
But he's also holding out hope for its future.
I want Iran to be great and prosperous and terrific.
In Jerusalem, America's new ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, outlined Trump's position.
Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. They will not be in a position where that they can threaten the peace, not just of Israel, but all of the people of the rest of the world.
As for Huckabee, he hit the ground running after his arrival on Thursday. Early Friday morning, he came to the Western Wall in Jerusalem for his first official act.
What an honor it is for me to come on behalf of the President of the United States, President Donald Trump, and to present a prayer that he handwrote, gave to me last Thursday in the White House, with the instruction that my first act as the ambassador would be to take his prayer, praying for the peace of Jerusalem, with the hope that I would bring it and place it in the wall with the best wishes and the prayers of the American people for the peace of Jerusalem.
He told CBN News what it means to be the first evangelical Christian ambassador to Israel.
Well, it gives me an extraordinary sense of personal joy to have been named by the president as an evangelical Christian believer to take this post. And to be honest, I was a little concerned that maybe there would be some resistance to that on behalf of Israeli people and Jewish people. But what I found is that just the opposite. And many people, my Jewish friends, have expressed this over and again, that if I were Jewish and came as ambassador, they'd say, well, of course, he supports Israel. He's Jewish. He doesn't have a choice. I say to them, I have a choice, and I make my choice to support Israel and to show my friendship that has existed, by the way, for 52 years. From my very first trip here, which was in 1973, when I was a month shy of my 18th birthday. So I've seen you, obviously, Chris, probably several dozen of the times that I've been here. And it never grows old. I never get to the point where I don't learn something. I never get to the point where I don't experience something being in this very magnificent place.
On Monday, Huckabee presented his diplomatic credentials to Israeli President Isaac Herzog.
I want to continue our coverage now with our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joining us from Jerusalem. So, Chris, the New York Times reports that President Trump called off a military strike on Iran until negotiations play out. How concerned are Israelis about the talks going on now between the United States and Iran?
Efrem, they're very concerned about this, and they're concerned about actually the focus of the talks. They began in Oman, and actually they started talking about whether or not Iran could enrich uranium above 3.67%. Here in Israel, that they believe that was just the wrong focus of the talks at all. They want the whole dismantlement of the Iranian nuclear infrastructure. They've talked about the Libyan model. The Libyan model be back in 2003 and 4 when Muammar Gaddafi, then the president or the leader of Libya, they unilaterally destroyed all of his nuclear infrastructure. That's exactly what Israelis want Iran to do, and they're really concerned about the focus of these talks right now.
Well, amazing time.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that. Boy, a lot going on over there.
Are they on the same page? Doesn't seem to be the case. The U.S. and Israel?
I think this is diplomacy and deal making.
Mm-hmm.
It may appear to us that they're not. I can't help but think they're working together.
Okay.
You do this, we'll do that. Right. You say this, we'll say that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you do hear the same thing.
Mm.
Iran can't have a nuke.
Right. And
they're both saying that.
And Huckabee emphasized that as well. Yeah.
All right, let's check out a guy that you can never silence.
With mostly sunny skies and springtime weather conditions, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly sunny in upper 50s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville, clearing to mostly sunny with a high near 58 in McMinnville with lows tonight in the upper 30s. Mostly sunny skies as we continue down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the upper 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 60 in Eugene with frost advisories tonight. In Central Oregon, sunny with daytime highs in the mid-upper 50s for Prineville, Bend, and Sun River with a light north wind this afternoon. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the low 60s. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny with a high in the mid-50s around Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy in mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 29 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the upper 60s for Grants Pass and Medford, and mid-60s around Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and low 60s with lows in the low 30s. Into northern California, patchy frost, then sunny in upper 60s in Wairika. More sunshine from Redding through Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 83 and a northwest wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog mainly before 9 a.m., then sunny in Santa Rosa with a high near 79 and Napa near 80. Sunny in San Francisco with a high in the low 70s and a light west wind this afternoon. And today in San Jose, sunny with a high near 81. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
All right, beautiful shot of Southern Oregon, a beautiful day in the making. We like it a whole lot.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff all the way.
Well, it was on this day in history that a true American hero was honored.
On April 21st, 1966, the Medal of Honor was placed gently into the hands of Private First Class Milton Lee Olive's father, the nation's highest military tribute given not to a man returning home, but to a hero who never did. Just 18 years old, Olive had been with his squad deep in the Vietnamese jungle when an enemy grenade landed among them. Without hesitation, he smothered it with his body, absorbing the blast. He died instantly, but saved 4 of his brothers in arms. President Lyndon B. Johnson, in a quiet White House ceremony, honored Olive's sacrifice, calling him a shining example of courage. That day, Olive became the first African-American soldier to receive the Medal of Honor for service in Vietnam. His legacy lived on, not just in medals or speeches, but in the lives he saved, and in the reminder that heroism knows neither color or age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And especially from that war, anytime I come upon a Vietnam story, I think of what our servicemen and women, what they endured coming home. And so, boy, I don't know if we can ever make it right, but we can certainly hold them up and honor them.
Well, for those of us that lived through that era, it was a very troubling time in the country, and a lot of stories and a lot of emotion. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll take a quick chocolate-covered cashew break.
I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter, and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting the Dove.
How y'all doing out there? Happy Monday. And kind of an interesting day in so many ways, dealing now with the passing of the Pope in the last 24 hours and all things going on around the world. Well, where are all the charging stations that the former administration was going to put in for EVs?
Good question.
Well, anyway, that was kind of a subject with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy responding to former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg's efforts to get all this done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen to this.
Okay.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful. Again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers, and the very first handful of chargers.
So I don't think the federal government should actually build charging stations. I think the private sector could do it, but the Congress sent the money to DOT to build charging stations. Here, I'm going to fill out what the answer should have been with regard to Pete Buttigieg. The reason you don't have charging stations, I think we have 66 now, is because of the crazy rules and regulations, the social justice and the green requirements that were put in to the money that was sent to states. They couldn't build with the money. They spent money, but didn't actually build charging stations for it. So what we've done at DOT is we've actually said, hold on, we're going to pause and we're going to rewrite the guidelines on how this program should work. If you're going to spend money, and the Congress says we have to unless they claw it back, if we're going to spend it, let's then build charging stations, right? And so we're going to look at the guidance to make sure that can happen. I'm not sure if the money is going to stay because, Congress and reconciliation, which you guys mentioned at the start of the program, right, that money may be grabbed and be used for something else. But again, this is liberalism at its finest. Spend lots of money and don't deliver for the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, that's called success.
Build back better.
That's called success in government work.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's ludicrous. I don't know if the new Secretary of Transportation has the power to just cut that. No, yeah. It was allocated by Congress, so I guess as DOGE works its way through Congress, it's one thing an agency can do to trimline its budget. It's another thing that Congress has to do because they appropriated the money. So somewhere in all this, maybe that money kind of disappears.
What kind of a political future do you think Pete Buttigieg has got?
Well, he's going to run for president.
You think so?
You almost want him up there talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like it was back when there was 20-something, 13, 17 people up there, and Trump ended up on top.
Perfect. Yes.
So it's going to be that way over on the Democratic side, and you're going to have all kinds of people up there with all kinds of records.
Yeah.
And their story is simple. Trump needs to go. Mm-hmm. And the world's upside down, and you need us to fix it.
Yeah.
Villain, victim, savior.
There you go.
Message.
Okay.
So much for that one. Yeah, I got some great people coming up. Is it true that the citizens in Hamas, i.e., the Palestinians, are turning against their government that they voted in?
Oh.
Okay. And here's one for you, because we just briefly talked about what's going on in Europe, especially in the UK.
Yeah.
Is there a global shift away from nonsense? We'll talk about that coming up.
All right. Well, we look into the creation, and we see some amazing things, and especially some amazing creatures that God has created. And now, for the first time, caught on camera, we get to see a baby colossal squid. Look at this.
A colossal squid has been caught on camera for the first time in the deep sea by an international team of researchers steering a remotely operated submersible. The sighting was announced last week by the Schmidt Ocean Institute. The squid filmed was actually a baby about 1 foot in length at a depth of 1,968 feet in the South Atlantic Ocean. Full-grown adult colossal squids, which scientists have uncovered from the bellies of whales and seabirds, can reach lengths up to 23 feet long, almost the size of a small fire truck, and are considered the world's largest invertebrates. The squid was spied last month near the South Sandwich Islands during an expedition to search for new sea life. Researchers waited to verify the species' identification with other independent scientists before releasing the footage, and they're now testing different cameras in hopes of catching an adult colossal squid.
It's kind of got the colors of law enforcement on it. It's got red in the rear and blue in the front.
It's got taillights.
It's got taillights,
It blinks before it takes a left turn.
That thing's down past 1,900 feet, and it's glowing.
So it lives obviously in the lower parts.
Yeah.
Do they ever get them up? Do you know?
I don't think so.
How does a whale get one for dinner?
That's a great question. That's right.
Do they have to go down there and get that?
Get it, yeah. I don't know.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. I wonder what makes it glow. Is it?
You know what? It's interesting because there are a lot of different species in the ocean, and even some like algae and stuff that have luminescence in the ocean.
Yeah.
And this is another great example. But this was two colors, red and blue. That's amazing.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of cool because you wonder. Does it have anything that, the scientists are going to send us emails?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
yeah,
which
please.
is cool.
Yeah, please.
That.
Yeah.
But is there a magnetic pool down there?
Oh.
Is there a magnetic?
I don't know.
We all know there's the world. The Earth's got some magnetic
pull. Yeah, we have and you know what? Through the course of the history of the Earth, that has actually changed. But right now, and it's not exactly due north, right?
True north, you mean?
Yeah, true north, yeah.
Magnetic north.
Yeah, but it's magnetic north. Yeah.
Magnetic north versus true north, okay.
So, are you affected by the...
Well, there's a book out years and years ago. I didn't read it all, but I skimmed through it.
Okay.
It's called Body Electric.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah, and it has a lot to do with the Earth magnetic pull on you as a human.
No kidding. Okay.
So here's one: the barometric pressure changes, and you get a headache, and your eyes water, or you get a little dizzy.
Oh, I wonder.
Sometimes people will get vertigo just on the barometric pressure change.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm not a doctor. I'm playing one now. It's kind of fun to do that, but anyway. I don't know. All you scientists.
When the barometer changes, see that area down there on the tibia and the fibula right there, right down at this bottom area, I feel a little ache.
He's got a pin.
That's
the bones he broke.
Right. Here's the femur here. Yeah. That one was good. Yeah. Here's the knee, and then here's the tibia, and here's the fibula, right about there, shattered. By the way, this isn't mine. This is Alice's.
She loaned it to him.
I said, Alice, I need a pen, and she throws this down. And I look, and I went, What is this?
That's it. Broken leg pin. All right, Galatians 6:9 for you today. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not lose heart. Hang in there. You're going to win.
Help me.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley Zone K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Christ belongs to all people. He belongs to the whole world.
For 60 years, Billy Graham and his team took the message of Christ to the world.
Have you been born again?
Telecasts of Billy Graham crusades continue to reach millions with the gospel.
If you repent, he will forgive.
Relive these moments on Billy Graham Classics.
Jesus said, "Follow me. Come and change the world with me."
Billy Graham Classics, Fridays on the Dove TV. Help the Dove with much needed equipment for our remodel. Pray about giving to our spring boost. Thank you from the Dove.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And Jerry Belden's going to try week 2.
Yeah, we're making an effort. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you, buddy. How's the leg?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Okay. He's got this big cast on. Well, it's the rubber cast, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's like that boot thing, you know.
The boot thing.
Yeah, and I guess it's all the hardware inside that keeps the leg together at this point. It's not a cast.
All right. Well,
but you feel comfort with the boot on.
What, 2 plates and 12 screws?
Yeah.
How's that working?
Well, they ask me if I have a screw loose. It brings a whole new meaning to it, doesn't it?
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday. We start the day with some sad news. Pope Francis passed away several hours ago, and of course, all of that now is very much in the news. We'll have a little bit of an update on that. He was 88 years old. As you know, he was in and out of the hospital in the last couple of months, fighting double pneumonia. Yeah. And had a lot of problems. Made it back to the Vatican to give a short blessing yesterday on Easter Sunday, and apparently shortly thereafter, early Monday morning, Rome time, he passed away. So this will start the whole process of electing a new pope, as the cardinals will be coming in from around the world. They'll go into a conclave where they lock the door, put the seal on there, and wait for the black smoke or the white smoke.
The white smoke, right, yeah.
And that'll take place down the road in the next week or so, maybe a little longer.
What do they burn when they make that smoke? Do you know?
Yeah, yes, and I don't know what it is. I mean, they have something they throw in the little burner.
Okay.
I don't know. I think the original thing is it comes out black, and then they put something in there that makes it come out
white.
White.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, he's expected to lie in state sometime around Wednesday. That'll go on for a couple of days. So I don't know all the procedures, but this is going to be a big thing for the Catholic Church. Do they put somebody in like him, to the left of him, or to the right of him? At the end, it looked like he pretty much became, he leaned more towards wokeness than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they, in this process, do they look at the political opinions and views of the candidates?
What is there? I think there's 6 people that I was reading. I don't know much about them, but I was reading, there's 6 potential candidates that names are floating, and I was reading the various ones. And when you read the background and the commentary, everything, unfortunately today, everything is political.
Yep.
You can't avoid it.
Yep.
Everything is, our Supreme Court is political.
Yep.
And it's not supposed to be.
Right.
So, yes, in the hierarchy of the church, yes, it's political. So we'll see. They're going to try to, couch it as theological.
Of course.
But no, that's not the way it's going to turn out. So we'll see how this is. It's a sad day, and our thoughts and prayers that they hopefully find a leader that's more traditional to their theology. Then this one was really starting to go left on a lot of issues, and it upset a lot of people. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what's happening?
Well, it is National Kindergarten Day. It honors the birthday of the man who started the very first kindergarten. He is Frederick Wilhelm August Frobel. And he lived from 1782 to 1852, and he is credited with starting the very first kindergarten in Germany in 1837. Of course, now kindergartens, they're pretty much around the world, aren't they? Did you go to kindergarten?
Yep.
I didn't. They just moved me right to first grade because we didn't have kindergarten in my little farm.
So you didn't
town.
fall in love with your kindergarten teacher?
I did not. I saved that.
To your second grade
teacher, Miss Foley. And Miss Foley had those, remember the little cat eye glasses?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they were all the rage. Yes.
Oh, gosh,
yeah, she was young. I think it was her first job out of college.
Oh,
and
I think ours was too. Yeah,
and she came and rescued me. I got into a rumble out in the playground with an older kid, and they had to pull us apart. And she brought me in and she talked to me about not supposed to be fighting out there, and especially don't fight with older kids because they'll beat you up. And then she gave me a hug to comfort me. Yes, I thought.
And you melted.
I did. Okay, this is good. So I remember Miss Foley really well. Yep. Now, we have the other side of that, too. We have those teachers that weren't quite the same, but that's how it worked out. But how was your kindergarten experience?
Well, for those of us that went through kindergarten, all I remember is she was a sweetheart.
Okay.
Then further up the grade, I don't know, we had some, I don't think we realize how influential at a young age teachers are in our lives.
Yeah, you're right.
And look what that hug did to you.
Absolutely.
Messed you up for
the rest of your life. Pam says, "Why do you want me to wear cat eye glasses?"
No.
Wait a minute. Here we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Shirley.
So your kindergarten teacher didn't teach you on how to become a young girl?
A young boy.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, please.
What a difference. Okay.
Well, isn't that interesting that you bring that in? Because
no, I shouldn't have.
I know you shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, here we go. Yeah, turn that baby on. Warning light. Warning. Okay. And this is a new device. It's apparently a couple weeks ago I mentioned sometimes we go off the rails a little bit. And afterwards when we're done we think, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. You're going to get emails, we're going to get cards and letters. Yeah. And so I mentioned, I need a warning light when one of these situations is coming up. And so somebody really nice at church brought me a warning light.
There you go.
When it gets a little tenuous, we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Anything else going on?
And one thing to eat. We have National Chocolate-Covered Cashews Day. And what's not to like about this? Cashews are fantastic. Chocolate is fantastic. Bring them together, and what a combination. So the only question is milk chocolate or dark chocolate? Huh?
There you go.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I like them.
Okay.
I like them either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, he was born with a warning light.
With mostly sunny skies and springtime weather conditions, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly sunny and upper 50s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville, clearing to mostly sunny with a high near 58 in McMinnville with lows tonight in the upper 30s. Mostly sunny skies as we continue down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the upper 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 60 in Eugene with frost advisories tonight. In Central Oregon, sunny with daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s for Prineville, Bend, and Sun River with a light north wind this afternoon. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the low 60s. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny with a high in the mid-50s around Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy in mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California, with gusts up to 29 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the upper 60s for Grants Pass and Medford, and mid-60s around Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and low 60s with lows in the low 30s. Into northern California, patchy frost, then sunny in upper 60s in Wairika. More sunshine from Redding through Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 83 and a northwest wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog mainly before 9 a.m., then sunny in Santa Rosa with a high near 79 and Napa near 80. Sunny in San Francisco with a high in the low 70s and a light west wind this afternoon. And today in San Jose, sunny with a high near 81. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful shot of our beautiful home called the Rogue Valley, and that's on the east side looking westward with the shadow of the mountain down over the parts of the valley. Gorgeous day on tap. Enjoy it.
All right, well, here are a couple interesting questions. Are you following what God has put on your life, what He's leading to you to do in a calling in your life? And if you are following that, are you doing it with a passion? Well, here Dr. David Jeremiah explores this.
Knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. We don't always get paid down here, but we always get paid up there. The source of a fully engaged life is God, and passion comes from God. Enthusiasm is God in you. Passion is not something you develop as much as you discover along the way when God shows you what it is you're supposed to do. And I don't believe we can make a once-for-all decision about that. I have to keep reviewing that all the time and redoing it all the time and checking on it all the time. Am I doing whatever? Am I doing it heartily? And am I doing it for you? So easy to slip off the track one way or the other. But the more that you move with this as your vision, the more God seems to bless your life. The more God blesses your life, the more you have to lose, and the more you have to risk. And the more you have to risk, the higher the price is of following God. I cannot begin to live fully engaged. It starts when God begins it in me. He's saved most of you. You're Christians. You go to church. And I'm here to tell you tonight, there was maybe a time when you could get by with being an also-ran Christian and just average and don't care too much about what else happens except you like your teacher and you're okay with the music at church. But I believe God is calling the Christian people in this nation to a higher calling, to a place of more importance than we've occupied during my lifetime.
There you go. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning to you. Happy Monday. Let's check out some of the big stories on your Monday. Of course, the big one right now is Pope Francis has passed away, apparently 7:35 Monday morning Rome time. And this comes after about 38 days he was in the hospital fighting double pneumonia and some other things, and came back to the Vatican within the last week or so, gave a short homily on Easter Sunday, and then passed away. So this will start the process. They think that they'll probably get things worked out where his body will lay in state sometime around Wednesday, and then the cardinals will be coming in from around the world, and they'll be meeting and then going into the big room, the conclave. They seal the door, and there they are until they elect. I'm looking at most of the candidates that are on the short list. Most of them, except for, let's see, I can't pronounce all these names, so I won't even bother, are in their 70s. One is 68.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So these are names. Now, who knows? Who really does know? So they'll go into the process of electing another pope. So,
has anybody ever documented the procedures and how it works behind those closed doors when they go in to elect a new pope?
yeah, what's the movie? They did a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the movie. Yeah, it's quite a process. A lot of balloting.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like counting the offering at church. You should have more than one person in the room. In fact, you should have a lot of people in the room.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
You don't have one person counting the offering.
Oh, yes.
So you have all these people in the room counting the ballots.
Yeah,
and they go around and they have. I don't know how many go-arounds they'll have.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I will say, looking at the makeup of the 6 that are being looked at right now, some of them are really out there, very far left, and so.
Do they make speeches in these things? Do they talk about their positions? Do they talk about some of the?
I don't know if they get up and give speeches.
I wonder. And let me ask you this: do you think anybody ever in the future will walk in with sneak one of these things, a phone in there?
I don't know. I think that the integrity of the process is probably heavily scrutinized.
Yeah.
Are there moles?
Oh, good question.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But you're locked in this room. You're brought in food. I think it has its own restroom facilities. I mean, you're locked in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they go through these various balloting things. Now, I don't know. I should.
This is like a sequestered jury, isn't it?
Huh?
It's like a sequestered jury.
Yeah, it is. And so I don't know, but in reading the resume of some of these, I'm going, oh, can the church afford to go soft on moral issues?
Okay.
Because what's at stake here is the theological position of the church. And then they have these revelations where they can change things, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I want to be respectful, but I really think what the church needs to do is get back to its traditions. They need another Pope Benedict who was theologically really spot on. Maybe Pope John Paul. He attracted a lot of people.
Yes.
But when they went to Francis, they went out there pretty far, and he got criticized for it. And it seemed like that most of his homilies were dominated by social issues and theological issues. And so we'll see where that goes. All right. In the meantime, the Supreme Court stepped in over the weekend and paused. The United States Supreme Court paused the Trump administration's plan for deportation of Venezuelan migrants. Now, this could be, it's a pause. It's not a removal. It's not a denial. It's a pause. And so there could be waiting for the oral arguments coming up in mid-May with all the other cases dealing with deportation. But I will say this. Justice Alito came unglued over the weekend.
Yes, he did.
He did not like this and said his colleagues on the court were just wrong. And bad people are bad people. Illegal means illegal. And does due process apply to illegals?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And are the illegals? Is there a difference between due process for those who are applying for citizenship versus those who are illegally here?
Yeah.
So somebody said, when you graduate from law school, you learn one term. Ever asked a question, the answer to every question is, it depends. That's true. If you're an attorney, the answer to every question is, it depends. So anyway, we'll see where this goes, but the Supreme Court made the decision to halt the deportation to Venezuela. And I think it has a lot to do with, remember now, they stopped hearing cases and they decided to hear the oral arguments on the president's administration of deportation in the middle of May. So we'll see what happens.
Is our government going to address, and I mentioned this before, I didn't realize, you remember John Walsh? He had America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
And that program is back, and he's doing it with one of his sons. And in the interview I was reading, he was talking about the new challenges in our country, and he directly addressed the issue of foreign countries emptying out prisons and mental institutions and these people coming across our southern border. And now he was talking about the increased challenges for law enforcement and for a program like his. It's like, wait a minute, do we hear much about that in the mainstream media these days, about what has come across the border?
No, we haven't. And so, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. All right, the other story that broke over the weekend is, you know, Senator Van Hollen from Maryland takes off and runs over to El Salvador to visit the one guy that's in the center of so much controversy that supposedly was wrongfully deported. Garcia is his name. And the president wasn't there. The vice president said, no, you couldn't see him. Hangs around for another day, and the president arranges for him to meet with Garcia, which is so interesting to me. The setting was remarkable. The setting looked like a country club. They brought him out, Garcia. They put him in a nice shirt and a hat and everything, sits him down. Now there's a lot of controversy about the margaritas on the table.
Oh, that's right. I did read about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's 2 margaritas on the table.
What's up with that?
I don't know, but you have to laugh at it. You got, is this set up that bad?
Yes.
So anyway, but El Salvador is not going to extradite him back to the United States. So there's some issues there. Okay. So here comes Van Hollen back, and he is really taking heat because of the family, the Gold Star family, in his own state. He didn't meet with them, but he goes and wants to meet with people that killed the daughter like him.
Exactly.
The whole thing is just crazy. So guess what he does? He changes his tune. I'm not defending the man. I'm defending due process.
Of course.
Trying to get out from underneath it.
Right.
So in the meantime, I guess this kind of sparked something.
Well, yeah. Senator Riley Moore joined Fox Business, and he spoke about his visit to the infamous prison in El Salvador. Let's listen.
I did visit the prison, and part of this was a oversight mission that we were doing to visit the prison, see the security that's been provided to the country of El Salvador. Of the 14,000 individuals that are incarcerated in that prison, a few hundred of them are folks who have been deported from the United States. And I will tell you, it is a chilling scene in this prison. These are killers, the worst of the worst. We got to talk to some of these prisoners. They will tell you they are killers. And it is really tragic to see these young men who have decided to destroy their own lives, destroy their communities, destroy human life, locked up in this facility. But it is scary, and it is very tragic, seeing these folks that just all life has really just kind of left from them, and they are just some of the worst human beings that I have seen. Now, these pictures with Van Hollen, what I'm going to want to do here right now on your show is I want to call for Senator Chris Van Hollen to meet with the family of Rachel Morin, the murdered woman in Maryland, the mother of 5 children. He has not met with her at all, but he's meeting with an MS-13 gang member down in El Salvador. I am calling for Senator Chris Van Hollen to meet with Rachel Morin's family and give them at least the same amount of time that he is giving to an MS-13 gang member.
Well, that's yet to be seen. I don't think it'll happen. There's an old saying, when you're in a hole, stop digging. Apparently he hasn't learned that.
So how much did that trip cost us?
I don't know, but it now was proven that our tax dollars paid for it.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's other lawmakers that want to go over there and do the same thing.
Of course. Well, yeah.
So anyway, I guess you can't fix crazy. Okay. In the meantime, the Russia-Ukraine thing could get put on hold. The United States could walk away from the peace negotiations only because both sides aren't cooperating.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be done before the mineral deal is supposed to be signed this week. But after the mineral deal, if they don't come to the table, the Trump administration is willing to walk away. I'm not sure what that means.
Is that deal finally, is it really going to be done?
Well, they're supposed to be signed this week. We'll
Okay.
see.
All right.
I will say one thing. There was a little bit of an olive branch over the weekend.
What?
President Putin said there will be a ceasefire during Easter.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there's a soft side to all this.
All right.
All right, we'll be right back. Right here.
Keep me in the moment. Help me live with my eyes wide open. 'Cause I don't want to miss what you have for me. Singing, oh.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter, and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Hey, y'all. Good morning to you. Hey, happy Hyatt Lake.
That was good, yeah.
Thank you, Scott. You're ahead of me there, buddy. Hey, Scott, hey, you get some coffee, Scott?
Too much?
Huh? Okay. All right. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday. Well, the story is Hyatt Lake.
Yeah.
It's been quite a while, but the Cascade Boat Ramp on Hyatt Lake is reopening. The Bureau of Land Management is reopening the Cascade Ramp at Hyatt Lake, with the lake now at 84% capacity.
Wow.
Do you know how far up that is from where it's been in the last couple of years? They have restocked the lake with some fish, and the conditions are very favorable for spring recreation across the board. If you're interested in going camping there, you better go to the BLM's Hyatt Lake page. It's a day use, first come, first served basis for permits. You need to check that out. By the way, the lake is a 10-mile-an-hour no wake zone.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Which is good.
Yeah, right.
And but it is so nice to see this. People that had cabins at the south end didn't see water for several years.
Wow.
And what's also interesting about this lake, it is it's one of the places that the Pacific Crest Trail goes through.
Mm-hmm.
And so you already know the answer to this, but were you surprised to hear that the Hyatt Lake sits at 5,200 feet elevation?
I was really surprised at that.
Yeah, I am
did
too.
not realize it was that high.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little lake.
All right.
When you're out flying around, I was out flying around. Where was I flying to? I was flying somewhere, and I looked down. I go, "What's that there?" Come to find out, it was
Hyatt Lake.
Really? Hyatt Lake.
Yeah.
If you're coming over I-5 over the Siskiyou, and you look down on Immigrant, it's nice to see that full.
Oh man,
things are heading in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Good stuff all the way around. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Monday. Let's see what's happening out there with all the news and headlines. And thank you, Preston, at Smart Lawn. He's a smart guy. Whoa! I don't know if this is Pope news or something else, but the Dow's off 677.5 points. The Nasdaq is down 387, and the S&P is down 99. So deep red ink at the ringing of the bell this morning. That could be a variety of things because the Wall Street's so emotional. That pushed gold up to 34.37. Wow. Silver is back to 32.84, and crude oil down. Hey, gosh, we're down a couple of bucks. 65.77. We'll take that. So that's the morning numbers.
All right. Well, isn't it interesting these days how so many on the left can't answer a simple question? And that question is, what is a woman? We even have a sitting Supreme Court judge who couldn't answer that question. But they have addressed this in England, and oftentimes we look at some of the issues in the UK and we think they're a little bit further left than us. But on Wednesday, the Supreme Court of England ruled unanimously that a woman is defined as a person who is born biologically a female, and that transgender women are no longer included in the legal definition of a woman. And we have a couple sound bites here. Lord Patrick Hodge made this comment about this decision.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
This is not about prejudice or bigotry, as some people would say. It's not about hatred for another community. It's just about saying that there are differences, and biology is one of those differences.
Well, the Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who is a well-known critic of the transgender women movement, is celebrating the UK Supreme Court ruling that transgender women aren't legally women in celebratory posts. She said, "I love it when a plan comes together," and she has been a little bit vindicated. She's taken a lot of heat and has been really strong in her views, but people like her have had to lay low, because actually their views has created a situation of danger around them. So we see these developments in England. Is this going to trickle over the pond? Are we going to feel any ramifications of this?
Well, the irony of this is that England's doing it before the United States.
Absolutely.
That's the irony of it.
Right.
I would hope that it does. And look, the left, this transgender nonsense is destroying women's sports, absolutely destroying it. On the heels of women's rights. This is just crazy. So I hope that it does. We'll see what happens. By the way, folks, the way you stand up against a bully is you stand up against them.
Yeah, you're right.
You resist them. And it takes fortitude to do that, but say no. No's a complete sentence. And I would say to parents, if your kids are being exposed to this stuff, you're going to have to get involved and say no. Vote these stupid school board people out. By the way, that's part of our May election coming up. Most of those positions on the ballot are school boards. Do you know who they are and what they stand for? Well,
not yet.
Okay, well, Mountain Church did put out a voter's guide on them for
did they? Yeah.
East in our area here.
All right.
It's for the various school districts in Southern Oregon. So you can go to Mountain Church, I think their website, and probably download that. They interviewed all those people. God bless them for doing it.
Yeah.
This is really great.
Yeah.
But folks, you're going to have to stand up for your children. You're going to have to say no to this nonsense. And the only thing I can say to private schools and Christian schools that are forced to accept this because they're part of some sports organization, say no. We're out.
Yeah. Right.
You have to do this. It's just tough. But England is saying no to it.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Well, I may want to go back over and have some tea and biscuits. Those are called cookies over there.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. All right. We'll take a cashew break.
And you feel I can promise.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
What kind of life are you living? You want to be a happy person, don't chase happiness, chase after God. Don't try to clean your life up and come to God. Come to God and He will clean your life up. You just come as you are.
Harvest with Greg Laurie, weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative. The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting the Dove.
Well, good morning, y'all. Happy Monday. Back at it. I hope your Easter was fun and all your eggs were hard boiled.
Right? Not deviled.
No, we haven't got that figured out.
We know we haven't. I hope somebody weighs in on that. Where did that term come from? Those eggs are too good to have that kind of a.
Do you like deviled eggs?
I love them. Oh man,
I do too.
Oh, that's good.
I just like a good old hard boiled egg once in a while.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know where the word. I don't know. They come from possessed chickens.
Yeah, something's wrong with this. Right.
That was a joke.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, the big news is the Pope has passed away. That starts the process. We'll keep you posted on that over the next several days. It's going to be a lot in the news with what the Catholic Church is going to go through with all of this.
Yeah.
It's hopefully as they go through the process, they find somebody, in my opinion, that they would find somebody more traditional to their theology.
You know, I bet there are a lot of folks that feel that way.
Yeah. So let's hope so. Yeah. In the meantime, things are still not very peaceful in the Middle East, and some lines are being drawn literally in the sand. So let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. We want to turn now to the Middle East. The United States and Iran held their second round of talks about Iran's nuclear program. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, many in Israel are concerned the talks may fall short of eliminating Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons.
This Saturday, the two delegations held indirect talks in the Omani embassy in Rome.
I can say that the negotiations are moving forward.
Iran set forth its demands.
Definitely. Illegal sanctions against Iran must be lifted in a firm and verifiable manner, with guarantees to ensure their implementation. Iran keeping its technical and nuclear belongings is a must in this process. Meanwhile, we have said we are ready to cooperate in resolving any doubts or questions.
The demand that Iran keep its nuclear infrastructure intact alarms Israel. In order to persuade lead U.S. negotiator Steve Witkoff, Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer and Mossad Chief David Barnea met with Witkoff in Rome ahead of the talks. Israeli officials are worried U.S. demands won't go far enough and demand Iran destroy any ability to enrich uranium to the point where it can be used in nuclear weapons. They also fear the Americans won't demand Iran stop its advances on ballistic missiles that could deliver such weapons and destroy Israeli cities, even U.S. cities. On Friday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared Israel's bottom line. Iran's nuclear program has to be destroyed, either peacefully or by military strikes.
I am committed to preventing Iran from having nuclear weapons. I will not give in on this. Neither will I slacken or retreat on this, not even a millimeter.
In Washington, President Trump is sending two messages to Iran. One is talking tough.
And if they have a nuclear weapon, you'll all be very unhappy. You'll all be very unhappy.
Have you spoken with Xi? Who is leading
your
those
life
trade
will be in
talks?
great danger.
But he's also holding out hope for its future.
So the
I
entire
want
program
Iran
dismantled?
to be great and prosperous and terrific.
In Jerusalem, America's new ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, outlined Trump's position.
Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. They will not be in a position where that they can threaten the peace, not just of Israel, but all of the people of the rest of the world.
As for Huckabee, he hit the ground running after his arrival on Thursday. Early Friday morning, he came to the Western Wall in Jerusalem for his first official act.
What an honor it is for me to come on behalf of the President of the United States, President Donald Trump, and to present a prayer that he handwrote, gave to me last Thursday in the White House, with the instruction that my first act as the ambassador would be to take his prayer, praying for the peace of Jerusalem, with the hope that I would bring it and place it in the wall with the best wishes and the prayers of the American people for the peace of Jerusalem.
He told CBN News what it means to be the first evangelical Christian ambassador to Israel.
Well, it gives me an extraordinary sense of personal joy to have been named by the president as an evangelical Christian believer to take this post. And to be honest, I was a little concerned that maybe there would be some resistance to that on behalf of Israeli people and Jewish people. But what I found is that just the opposite. And many people, my Jewish friends, have expressed this over and again, that if I were Jewish and came as ambassador, they'd say, well, of course, he supports Israel. He's Jewish. He doesn't have a choice. I say to them, I have a choice, and I make my choice to support Israel and to show my friendship that has existed, by the way, for 52 years. From my very first trip here, which was in 1973, when I was a month shy of my 18th birthday. So I've seen you, obviously, Chris, probably several dozen of the times that I've been here. And it never grows old. I never get to the point where I don't learn something. I never get to the point where I don't experience something being in this very magnificent place.
On Monday, Huckabee presented his diplomatic credentials to Israeli President Isaac Herzog.
I want to continue our coverage now with our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joining us from Jerusalem. So, Chris, the New York Times reports that President Trump called off a military strike on Iran until negotiations play out. How concerned are Israelis about the talks going on now between the United States and Iran?
Ephraim, they're very concerned about this, and they're concerned about actually the focus of the talks. They began in Oman, and actually they started talking about whether or not Iran could enrich uranium above 3.67%. Here in Israel, that they believe that was just the wrong focus of the talks at all. They want the whole dismantlement of the Iranian nuclear infrastructure. They've talked about the Libyan model. The Libyan model be back in 2003 and 4 when Muammar Gaddafi, then the president or the leader of Libya, they unilaterally destroyed all of his nuclear infrastructure. That's exactly what Israelis want Iran to do, and they're really concerned about the focus of these talks right now.
Hey, there you go. Well, couldn't be a better person right now to be ambassador to Israel than Mike Huckabee.
What a perfect fit. Absolutely.
Perfect fit.
Yep.
Well, I look back on it now, the couple of times I've had a chance to interview him, and you kind of go, gosh, had I known, know.
Yeah.
But that's who he is.
Yeah, let's not forget he's a bass player.
Okay.
That adds to it.
Well, let's check in with the bass player.
With mostly sunny skies and springtime weather conditions, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly sunny in upper 50s for Vancouver, Portland, and Wilsonville, clearing to mostly sunny with a high near 58 in McMinnville with lows tonight in the upper 30s. Mostly sunny skies as we continue down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the upper 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 60 in Eugene with frost advisories tonight. In Central Oregon, sunny with daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s for Prineville, Bend, and Sun River with a light north wind this afternoon. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the low 60s. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog, then sunny with a high in the mid-50s around Coos Bay. Sunny and breezy in mid to upper 50s for Port Orford and Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California with gusts up to 29 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny skies with daytime highs in the upper 60s for Grants Pass and Medford, and mid-60s around Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny and low 60s with lows in the low 30s. Into Northern California, patchy frost, then sunny in upper 60s in Wairika. More sunshine from Redding through Chico and Sacramento with daytime highs near 83 and a northwest wind 5 to 7 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog mainly before 9 a.m., then sunny in Santa Rosa with a high near 79 and Napa near 80. Sunny in San Francisco with a high in the low 70s and a light west wind this afternoon. And today in San Jose, sunny with a high near 81. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Those watching on the Dove Radio, you are looking at a beautiful shot from the top of Roxy Ann as it looks out over southern Oregon westward. And just a beautiful day. Green, a little bit of a shadow of the mountain left, and a little bit of shadow of the tower that the camera is on. And that looks right out towards the airport. You can see the blank spot out there. That's where the runway is.
Yeah.
And if you look just to the west of the runway, and then you look at the big building, and then you go down 2 more buildings, that's us.
There we are.
There you are.
Yeah.
Wave, Jerry.
Nice. Hey,
there we go. I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, nice day and more coming our way. All right. Well, it was on this day in history that a true American hero was honored.
On April 21st, 1966, the Medal of Honor was placed gently into the hands of Private First Class Milton Lee Olive's father, the nation's highest military tribute given not to a man returning home, but to a hero who never did. Just 18 years old, Olive had been with his squad deep in the Vietnamese jungle when an enemy grenade landed among them. Without hesitation, he smothered it with his body, absorbing the blast. He died instantly, but saved 4 of his brothers in arms. President Lyndon B. Johnson, in a quiet White House ceremony, honored Olive's sacrifice, calling him a shining example of courage. That day, Olive became the first African-American soldier to receive the Medal of Honor for service in Vietnam. His legacy lived on, not just in medals or speeches, but in the lives he saved, and in the reminder that heroism knows neither color or age.
Our hats off to all who served, and especially those in the Vietnam War, because we're that generation. We saw what a lot of these folks went through when they came home. So
Good, hard stuff. All right, good morning to you. Well, listen, I have met the people that are running radio stations on the corner, on the border of Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, and it's pretty tough up there.
Oh.
And our good friend Peter Wooding, he's with the Global News Alliance, reports on this.
Despite ongoing peace talks, Odessa in southwest Ukraine has continued to come under intense attacks from Russia. However, a Christian radio station broadcasting from Odessa has miraculously managed to stay on air throughout the war. New Life Radio Network reaches out to people in both Russia and Ukraine with the gospel, serving as a peacemaker between Christians in each country, while reaching the Slavic world via satellite and internet radio. Daniel Johnson is with New Life Radio International.
Our challenge is to stay on the air within a city that's constantly bombed. Our facility has been hit. We're just hoping that the electricity stays on so we can continue our satellite and internet radio broadcasts. To have a station be able to work within a wartime environment, knowing that our mission is to get the gospel out to 2 nations who desperately need to hear it, that's pretty much what we're dealing with right now from Odessa.
A New Life Radio Network is seeking to move out of their rented 190-year-old building and purchase new offices to ensure their ability to continue broadcasting long into the future. Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance.
Wow.
Yeah, that whole part of the world over there and what they do. I sit on the board of the Word for You Today, International Board, our devotional. We sent a couple 100,000 of these, both in Russian and Ukrainian, up there to just give away.
Really? Okay.
And boy, the response we're getting out of that has been amazing. We just gave them away. And but that radio station and other stations in that area have been threatened like you can't imagine.
That's amazing.
But they're getting the word out. And I'm telling you, when we first started back in '83, life was pretty simple. Fast forward to 2025, life and broadcasting is pretty complicated.
Oh, man.
Over there, it's simple again.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
You know, you have a transmitter, a board, and a couple of willing people, and you're on the air.
And what kind of obstacles they're going to stay on the air?
Well, that,
Wow.
and, you know, their towers don't get bombed and stuff like that. So, anyway, God bless them. That's good stuff all the way around. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more Jerry.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God, His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
Welcome back. 12 minutes before the hour. Of course, the big story of the day is Pope Francis has passed away, and early this morning, Rome time. And so that starts the whole process of electing a new pope. And apparently he will lie in state sometime around Wednesday, and then they'll start the whole process of the cardinals coming in from around the world. Isn't it interesting? Hours before he died, Vice President Vance was there.
He was one of the last people to visit with him, yeah.
Yeah. And he was there for a short time. It was all during the Easter weekend. And but apparently they exchanged some thoughts, a little bit of discussion about migrants. I'm not sure. And I guess that we'll find out what that is.
Marginalized people, yeah.
Marginalized people.
Yeah.
So the Pope was very much involved socially during his last hours on Earth. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on that. In the meantime, a couple of stories coming out. President George H.W. Bush, President Clinton, and President Obama all had hundreds of thousands of deportations.
Absolutely, yes.
And no indictments, or no
pushbacks.
No pushback.
Yeah.
No injunctions. That's what I was looking for. President Trump has had about 100,000 so far, and 32 indictments.
Right. Yes.
It's all political.
Absolutely.
Well, in the meantime, President Reagan also got involved with tariffs, even though we gave a speech earlier where he didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. But he used them. And guess who he used them against?
Who?
Japan.
Oh, gosh.
Here it is.
Okay.
On March 27, 1987, the day this video was taken, President Reagan imposed 100% tariffs on a wide array of electronic goods produced in Japan, worth $300 million annually, roughly $9 billion in current figures.
This thing was a violation of an agreement signed 7 months ago in which we found there was a market denied to our chips, our microchips, in their country at the same time that they were dumping, not only here but in other countries, their microchips.
An avid free trader, Reagan said he was loath to use protectionist tools.
I didn't want to impose punitive tariffs on Japanese goods. I don't believe in tariffs or trade barriers or restrictions of any kind.
In his weekly radio address, the chief executive again emphasized why he favored only limited use of the tariff power.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
Many things he did have to be judged in the shadow of the Cold War.
Craig Shirley is a presidential historian and the author of 5 books about Ronald Reagan.
There were some times where he felt that it was necessary in order to save U.S. jobs to impose these tariffs. He did it sparingly, but he did do it.
Indeed, on the European Economic Community, the precursor to the EU, Reagan imposed tariffs at least 3 times. And in his first term, to protect the Harley-Davidson Company, he placed heavy tariffs on imported motorcycles.
It did help save the Harley-Davidson Corporation and save a lot of jobs. So they've always credited Reagan with saving Harley-Davidson.
By the fall of 1987, Tokyo having opened up more of her markets, President Reagan lifted nearly half the tariffs he'd imposed on Japan that spring. The rest remained in place until he left office. Reagan's vice president and successor, George H.W. Bush, quietly lifted the remainder in 1991. And the following year, foreign market share in Japan achieved the desired level of 20%. At the White House, James Rosen, Newsmax.
Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Now, remember, the President Reagan gave the speech where he doesn't like using them.
Right.
Then he turned around and used them.
Yeah.
So, again, I think what you need to look at, from what I'm learning, whoever thought tariffs would be big issues these days, is that it's a tool.
Yeah, yeah.
And the question is, are they properly managed? And President Trump has used them as a tool to get people to the table.
Right.
Well, he's got over 100 countries willing to talk now. The question is, can he talk to all of them?
Yeah. And there's been a lot of criticism about his approach to tariffs, but nobody is really defending the status quo about the unfair situation between us and many other countries who have imposed tariffs on us. So I think the only thing is, how do you accomplish equity in this situation? And I think Donald Trump has, he's decided this is the way.
Well, yeah. Again, let's let it work out. See what happens. I'm not sure what's driving the market down today. By the way, folks, I'm learning this the hard way. A market, the stock market is an indicator, not the indicator.
Okay.
Okay, it's just one of the things. So when the market's down, the bond market's up. What does that mean? That's why I have all these smart guys on.
Okay.
Hopefully someday I'll figure it out. Okay, we got some great guests coming up. And we look forward to what's happening in the Middle East. In particular, are the citizens of Gaza, which would be Palestinians.
A healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
He couldn't detect two separate babies, like two separate sacs, for sure. And so he looked at me and said, "It's almost like they're conjoined." I was terrified. I was scared. That was a prayer that I also prayed, like, God, give me peace. Help me get through this, to know you gave me these girls and you knew from the beginning they were going to be conjoined, and I trust you.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV. The Dove Spring Boost. Pray about helping us reach our $128,000 goal during our remodel. Thank you from the Dove.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and of course, continually in the news, what's happening in Gaza and with Hamas versus the citizens, the Palestinians. Well, very timely for us to have today Grant Berry. Grant is the founder of Reconnecting Ministries, the author and producer of the Romans 911 project. He's a Messianic believer in Yeshua, Jesus, has a website, romans911.org or reconnectingministries.com. And there's a picture of those landing pages on the screen. Again, romans911.org or reconnectingministries.com. Grant, good to see you. How are you?
Perry, good to be with you.
Good. Where are we Skyping you in from? Where are you?
We're in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Well, just curious, are the protests in Gaza by the citizens against Hamas real?
I believe so. And also, Perry, I believe in answer to prayer. We've been praying for a while that there would be a change of heart amongst the Arab people in Gaza. We can't have a two-state solution, Perry, when one side is wanting to destroy the other. There has to be a change of heart, and Hamas really needs to be dealt with. And we're also encouraged to hear just recently, last week, 1,000 Israeli soldiers signed a petition to really give the support to the IDF that they need to properly deal with Hamas. I mean, we know that the hostage situation is so extremely challenging, and praying for those hostages to be released every day. But this war needs to continue until there's a change of heart.
Is there a sense of remorse among the Palestinians for electing Hamas to be their government?
Well, I would say so amongst some. We also know that Hamas rules with fear and manipulation. I'm not even sure of the election that gave them the governing power in Gaza. I believe it was in 2014. Please double check me on that one. But I'm not sure that it was a totally honest election either. And we're hearing stories all the time of Hamas taking control of the humanitarian aid that comes in. And just think for a moment, Perry, just all that money coming in from the nations to support those people. And look what Hamas has done with it. Instead of helping their people to have a good life and to earn a living and provide for their families and have a good roof and food over their head and food on their table, they've taken all that money and just built tunnels, thousands of them, and hundreds of thousands of rockets to try and destroy Israel. This has got to end.
Okay, so as people are beginning to push back against Hamas is very intimidating and responds to their own citizens with violence. So the cost to stand up against them is pretty insurmountable. I mean, it's a big deal. What's your take on that?
I would totally agree with you on that, Perry. We're actually again praying for the Israelis somehow to come around these people, and even offer them an olive branch. It's interesting, Perry. Israel offered an olive branch to the Arab people when they became a nation, and those Arabs that stayed and came alongside Israel are now Israeli citizens. There are 1.5 million Arabs citizens in the democracy of Israel. And somehow, can there be a change of heart? And we're also hearing some incredible things. Just last week, just thousands of Palestinians coming to know Jesus. There was a big meeting of tribal leaders, and they apparently held up these Bibles either side and invited people to come into agreement with the word of God and to accept Jesus as the Messiah. So we are beginning, could we be beginning to see a potential awakening amongst those people that they could one day live at peace with Israel?
So do they see, Grant, the Palestinians that are there now beginning to push back against Hamas, do they see Israel as their friend now? And let me qualify that, because Israel has always given them warning to get out. Israel has always had their best interest in mind to protect them. Are they seeing that and accepting that?
I don't think I can really clearly answer that question. I would hope so. We do know that, the Palestinians Hamas is educating children to hate the Jewish people, and we know there's hatred and unforgiveness in the bloodline. There are lots of issues, but is it possible for them to turn the corner? This is our hope and prayer. And I can actually back this up in scripture. In the 9th chapter of the prophet Zechariah, it talks about those of the Philistines, that Philistia, those that are left from the Philistine people will become part of the tribe of Judah. And I think it's true to say that some of the Arabs in Gaza can trace their ancestral roots back to the Philistines. I don't know exactly what those percentages are, but it's real interesting that it actually says those that are left will become aligned with the tribe of Judah.
Those that fled Gaza, given the warning of Israel, where did they go?
That's another very challenging question. I mean, we know Trump's put a plan out there. We know Egypt's put a plan out there. There has to be a place for them to move to when the rebuilding starts. But honestly, Perry, I'm not sure we're ready to start the rebuilding. Because, Hamas has to be dealt with. And I don't think we're going to see an end to this war until that's the case. So can we pray for mercy? Can we pray for forgiveness? Can we pray that there could be an opportunity for peace and reconciliation and forgiveness between the Jewish people and between the Arab people in Gaza? That is our hope. I think we have to set our minds on the positive. We know there are great challenges to that. I'm not being unrealistic, but the power of prayer changes things.
Wow. It appears to me that Hamas has been severely weakened, but they're not out. And it also would appear to me that given the capabilities of the Israeli intelligence, they probably have a pretty good idea where the remaining hostages are. I don't know if we in the West understand how delicate that really is.
Yeah, I wish that was the case. So far, I read a report last week in the Jerusalem Post that only 30% of the tunnels that have actually been destroyed. And so until those tunnels are found and riddled out, this war is going to continue because this is where they're hiding. And they've built a huge underground network. So it's just going to take more time because if Israel goes in, with too much force and too much of an army force, it's only going to suffer more losses. And I think more than likely the IDF is looking to isolate and find those tunnels and establish military movements to begin to deal with them. And of course, I think you're right, Perry. I mean, these are where the hostages are most of the time.
I want to come back to what seems to be the seedbed of a revival among these citizens to Christianity. How risky is that?
Well, we know Islam hates Christianity. We've seen that in the Middle East, especially with ISIS, and how many Christians were actually taken out. But we also hear, Perry, and you must probably hear this too, of a great awakening going on in Iran. Mm-hmm. And those Christians have to face death the moment they confess the name of Jesus. So it becomes an underground movement, kind of like how the church started when Rome was the oppressor. So we're never going to stop the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, the gospel will keep going forth in power and might and glory until the Lord returns. And of course, our hope and prayer. Can you imagine, Perry, if there are hundreds of thousands of Arabs in Gaza that become Christians and have a love for Israel? And I'm pleased to report to you that those people that are coming out of Islam and becoming Christian in the Middle East, in Iran and other nations, a lot of them have a love for Israel, not a hate. And so God is doing things under the radar that we only begin to see as things manifest. But we're all hearing stories of many Muslims beginning to meet the man in the white robe, and the Lord is making himself known to those of Ishmael, which means that we're coming close to the unveiling, because the physical family of Abraham was Isaac and Ishmael. And so if God is beginning to make himself known to those that are connected to ancestral roots to Ishmael, we know also that that the veil of the Jewish people is yet to come up. And honestly, Perry, we think a two-state solution is absurd. We're working actually towards a one-state solution where Yeshua, Jesus, is going to come back to reign on the earth. And it's only love and unity in his body and forgiveness that is going to win out the day, ultimately, for all of this to take place and for the gospel to go forth in much greater power. So these may be challenging days for all of us in the body of Messiah, but they will be most glorious.
That is so beautifully said. I do want to spend some time after the break having you share with us your story. But one last question. Is the mood in Israel now, and I understand the stress of hostages remaining, that plays on the situation, but has the mood shifted towards completely eliminating Hamas versus getting the hostages out?
I would hope that that is the majority of the people. But we know that, there are different voices in Israel. You've heard the saying, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And I can say that as a Jewish person. So, and that's what makes democracy so wonderful and so strong, is that we are able to voice our opinion without someone coming down on us, as long as we don't get violent. And we're seeing that play out in America right now. My hope and prayer is that, along with these 1,000 Israeli soldiers, that Israel would really come together and be behind the IDF, as President Trump is, to support the government and allow them to do what needs to be done, so that Israel can hopefully one day live securely without bombs coming in from left and right.
One other quick sub-question. We understand both Israel and the United States are saying that Iran cannot have a nuke. But they seem to be at odds as to where they are at the moment. What's your take?
Well, we know that peace talks going on right now between the U.S. and Iran, and that one of the really positive things about President Trump is he's always willing to talk. He wants to work towards peace and at least give people the opportunity to move in that. But I think he's also made very clear, as Israel has made clear, that they will not tolerate an Iran with a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with all of the spy agencies that, the intelligence agencies that Israel and the United States have, they have a good sense of where Iran actually is getting close to this being able to produce a nuclear bomb. And I think, we've been talking about that for many years already, but I think we're really close to it. So we are going to see this situation come to a head, most probably in this year, I would think.
All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Grant's website. It has a couple of them, Romans911-911.org, and the other website is reconnectingministries.com.
.org there, Perry.
Oh, .org there too. Okay, thank you. And we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Weekday mornings on the Dove, it's one of the longest running shows in broadcast history, the 700 Club. Informative, with the day's stories from a biblical perspective.
Israel finds itself fighting.
Trusted investigative reporting.
Our chief political analyst, David.
Encouraging, with uplifting stories of faith.
And then she heard a prayer. I immediately felt the Holy Spirit.
Be encouraged and informed with the 700 Club. Weekdays at 11 on the Dove TV. Get more at thedove.us.
Okay, welcome back. So honored to have with us today Grant Barry. He's the founder of Reconnecting Ministries, the author and the producer of the Romans 911 project. We'll talk about that. He's a Messianic believer. He has a couple of websites, and that is romans911.org and reconnectingministries.org. And there's the picture of the landing pages. Grant, just a couple more quick questions, then I want to move on to your story. From your perspective, how damaged is Hamas and Hezbollah at the moment?
Seriously damaged. I think the move or the plan that Israel had to really weaken Hamas was phenomenal. I mean, it took 20 years with that whole pager thing, but just that one act just achieved amazing breakthrough. And I can tell you, having spent a lot of time in Israel, there was a real concern, almost a great fear of the buildup of arms, hundreds of thousands of weapons that Hezbollah was preparing to send into Israel. And just to see the grace and the protection. I mean, we know about the Iron Dome, but something more is going on. I mean, even when all those bombs came in from Iran, not one of them penetrated. And obviously, Hezbollah has been greatly weakened, and there's an opportunity now for Lebanon to really take back sovereignty of their country and deal with this whole Hezbollah element. Hopefully, we'll see what happens there. Hamas is being greatly weakened, but they're by no means out of the play yet.
Wow.
And both of these forces need to be dealt with for Israel to be able to have a place of security like us. I mean, we may have some differences right now with with this the whole tax on imports and with some of our neighbors, but we live at peace with our neighbors, and this is something very real for the people of Israel. And Perry, they're having some very close friends living there. It is a burden. You cannot live there and not feel this. It is putting a pressure on the Jewish people. Perhaps that could lead them to greater relationship with God and to coming to a knowledge of the truth with Messiah Yeshua as their Lord. So we're beginning to see the pressure points come into play. We're seeing the rise of anti-Semitism. We know that there's Scripture tells us there's still a time of Jacob's trouble that Israel is going to come into, but Jeremiah says clearly that they will be saved out of it. And the Apostle Paul tells us in the church not to be ignorant towards these mysteries, because we're coming into that time of Israel's unveiling. And the church has a great role to play in that unveiling that it's just beginning to discover. And that's what our teaching projects, the Romans 911 project teachings, video teachings, are all about. They really help they help your average believer to understand the move back towards Israel. That's not just about blessing them, but coming alongside Jews that now believe, like myself. I'm a Jewish person. My wife and I, she came from an Orthodox background, Halle Berry. I come from a secular Jewish background, but we believe that Yeshua is the true and proper extension of Judaism through the new covenant that he gave to us through the cross and the resurrection, which we just celebrated over Passover and resurrection this past weekend.
Okay, that's Romans911.org is the website for that. Grant, that is beautiful. So if you don't mind, take a few seconds and how'd that revelation happen to you? How did you come into the revelation of Jesus being the Messiah?
Well, Perry, I've been walking with the Lord for over 40 years. And as a young man, I was an entrepreneur in the cosmetic business. Actually, God took me from outer beauty to inner beauty, when you think about it, very much dealing with the heart. And I was working with a young Christian girl who was a very talented makeup artist, doing fashion shoots for my business. And she started to tell me about Jesus, about Yeshua. She had a real love for the Jewish people. And through trial and error, God had trained her to share the gospel with Jewish people in a way that perhaps they could more readily accept it, being very conscious to the barriers that have been built up over the thousands of years because of all the things that have been done to the Jewish people in the name of Christianity. But I started to witness, Perry, that Maria had there was like a dynamic going on in her relationship. This wasn't just religion. She was talking to God and God was talking back to her. And that really sparked my curiosity, because here I was, one of supposedly the chosen people, and I was wanting to have relationship and intimacy with God, kind of like I knew Abraham when I read about Abraham and how he walked so closely with him. I wanted that relationship, and I couldn't find it in Judaism. And so as a young Jew, like so many modern Jews, we start to look in different directions. But you could never think about Christianity because of all the things that have been done to us in their name. So she knew I couldn't read the New Testament, but she would share the Hebrew scriptures with me. And when she talked about the New Testament scriptures, she would share them in her own conversation. Very skillful. But I can honestly say that she prayed and fasted for me for months. And of course, I resisted, as most Jewish people do when we share the gospel with them. But it really sparked my curiosity, and I was wanting relationship and intimacy with God. So I went into my room every day for 3 weeks, and I got on my knees to pray. And it was like my prayers went up to the ceiling and came right back down to the floor. And I had no communication. And that kind of pushed me away from Maria for a while. But a couple of months later, we got back together and I explained my frustration. And she said to me, I've been trying to tell you for months, you can't have the Father with the Son. You're talking to God right now. Why don't you ask him? So I laughed it off as usual. But that night, particularly walking home, I felt that void in my heart that I think so many of us feel that haven't met the Lord yet, because there's a special place, I think, for the Spirit of God in each of us. And as we grow in life and through our life's experiences, we can begin to feel that void and that emptiness. I mean, I had become very successful as a young entrepreneur and quickly realized that money and success was not where it was at. I was looking for inner peace. And I can honestly say that night, I went up to my room and I thought for myself, what if she's right? What if the Jewish leaders were wrong and he was the Messiah? I'm going to ask God. So I got onto my bed and I prayed, and she had told me about that God stands at the door of your heart and knocks. Again, she was really quoting Revelations 3:20, but she wasn't saying it as scripture. She said, God's knocking on the doorpost of your heart. And so I shut my eyes and I imagined this door, and I said, God, if Jesus, if Yeshua is your son, I want to know the truth. And Perry, right at that moment, a wind shift into my stomach, and I looked at the windows. I got up and looked at the windows and the floorboards, and I tried to rationalize the whole thing. But from that moment on, I believed. That was November 1984, and it was several months later and additional trials and tribulations that led me into a much deeper relationship and the infilling of the Holy Spirit that from that point, I've never really looked back, and wanting to spend the rest of my life giving thanks and telling other people everything that he's done for me.
Well, Grant, I wish I had you for 2 hours.
Wonderful.
Can we get you back?
Yes, anytime, Perry. I just love the questions and your insight, and the things you asked me just made it so much easier for me to respond with what's going on with Israel, with our people, with America, and also just the opportunity to share my testimony.
All right.
Much love and blessings to you.
Okay, quickly, Roman911.org and reconnectingministries.org. Give us a brief description of both.
This really introduces the significance of the Israel piece to the church. This is the reconnecting of the one new man between Jew and Gentile and between all races. It's really Jesus' prayer of John 17 being answered. He prayed for a complete unity in the family of God. And you know, Perry, when you look at the state of the church, how can the Father send the fullness of his glory upon a body that's so divided? Isn't a rebuild needed first? That's what Romans 9:11 is about, especially now that Israel's awakening. God's moving the church back towards Israel. After all, those of us that endure with him, we're going to be his priests. But we are going to rule and reign with it in the commonwealth of Israel, representing in the nations an Israeli monarch, of which Jesus is going to sit on the throne of Jerusalem. And so there has to be a shift back, not just personally now, but also corporately. And we unpack all of this. We expose the way the enemy has sown division in the body. We invite God to receive God's mercy and healing. And really, when you go through these teachings, you're never going to look at Israel and the church the way you used to. It's going to put you onto a journey of restoration in the one you man.
All right, check it out, Romans911.org or reconnectingministries.org. Grant, thank you. You're an inspiration. Let's stay connected. We'll have you back soon. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks so much, Perry. God bless you.
You too.
It can be puzzling assembling all the right pieces for your insurance needs in retirement. I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Guiding you through the stormy seas of insurance, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
The Dove Spring Boost is going on now. Here's an update on what's been raised. Currently, we're at 60% of our goal to purchase much-needed equipment for our station upgrade and remodel. Thank you for your generous giving and support. We can't do it without you. We're not at goal yet, so if you can help, there's still time. You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for supporting The Dove.
Okay, welcome back, and very timely, as always. An honor to have with us Robert Spencer. He's the director of Jihad Watch, Shulman Fellow there at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. He's also the best-selling author of The History of Jihad, The Palestinian Delusion, and Did Muhammad Exist? His latest book will be published coming up, it's probably already out there, called Anti-Semitism, History and Myth. And there is a picture of the cover of the book, Anti-Semitism, History and Myth, Robert Spencer. And the website is jihadwatch.org. There's the picture of the landing page, jihadwatch.org. Robert, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Always good to see you, Barry. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We value it greatly. Okay, obviously the rise of anti-Semitism has caused you to write a book. What'd you find out doing the research here?
Well, it goes back. A lot of people think that it started with Christianity, and there is a strain of Christian anti-Semitism that still exists. But one of the things that I found out was that anti-Semitism actually originated earlier than Christianity, and Christianity is the only form of, or the only source, we could say, of anti-Semitism that has actually repudiated it, with the mainstream understandings of the New Testament passages that historically gave rise to anti-Semitism, mostly having been, actually all of them, having been, the anti-Semitic interpretations of them having been rejected by leaders of all the major denominations, and the mainstream understandings of these passages are no longer used except by, unfortunately, a still persistent fringe. They're no longer used in an anti-Semitic manner.
So, I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question. What was it about October 7th that was so obvious to so many people, but yet created an insurgence of rise of anti-Semitism?
Perry, it seems to me that it was planned, that there were powerful people who knew that the October 7th attacks were going to happen, and they were ready with a PR campaign to portray Israel as evil, as the real aggressor, as the supposed starter of the whole conflict, and they were ready to roll out nationwide and worldwide protests against Israel to try to turn global public opinion against the sole Jewish state. And obviously they've been highly successful at that. That's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because of this resurgence of anti-Semitism that we've seen around the world since October 7th. I think it's a clearly, carefully planned and well-financed operation. I don't know who exactly is behind it, but it seems to me to be clear that they are interested in demonizing the Jews so that they can justify another large-scale victimization of the Jewish people, such as we saw during the Holocaust.
All right, so let's go back, Robert, before we go forward. How far back does this go, anti-Semitism?
It goes back to the pre-Christian Roman Empire and to some writers, notably Philo of Alexandria, who was in the 1st century BC, and he and others made all these claims about how the Jews had various secret rituals that differed from the teachings of their own scriptures, that they were secretly working to subvert the non-Jewish society. And these things actually still spread, these stories still spread to this day. But it all came down to the fact that the Jews would not pay obeisance to the Roman gods, which is, of course, the same thing that the early Christians, who were largely Jews themselves, got into trouble with the Romans with as well, that the Romans had all these gods and room for any number of gods you wanted, but you had to worship them all. You had to agree that they were all gods. And so the Romans were perfectly willing to accept the Jewish God and the divinity of Christ himself, but it didn't work in the other direction. Neither the Jews nor the Christians were willing to accept all the Roman gods, and so the Romans, angry that they would not assimilate, began to persecute them.
Okay. I guess I have to ask a tough question here. How does Christianity play into anti-Semitism?
Well, unfortunately, there has been the idea throughout the history of the church that the Jews are the killers of Christ. And because Christ is God, they're the killers of God himself. And this charge of deicide, it's about the worst thing you can accuse somebody of doing. And it has followed them throughout history. And of course, there are a few scriptures that give rise to this. Paul says in 1 Thessalonians, or I believe it's first, it might be second, but in any case, that the Jews killed Christ. He says that basically in so many words. And in Matthew, of course, when Jesus is on the cross and Pontius Pilate says, I'm innocent. I mean, before Jesus is on the cross, when he's on trial, Pontius Pilate says, I'm innocent of this man's blood. And the Jews cry out, his blood be upon us and upon our children. Anti-Semites throughout history have said, you see, this means that all the Jews are responsible for the killing of Christ and that they all bear a special fault for it. Now, it seems to me this is in total contradiction to basic Christianity across denominations, because we're always taught, and all the churches teach, that it's our sins that put the Lord on the cross. It's because I am a bad guy that Jesus was on the cross. And it's not because of any one particular person or one particular group. It's everybody's fault and responsibility. And this is one of the reasons why he redeems all of our sins on the cross, because he as God can bear them all. So it's sin that put him there and sin he is expiating. So to blame a particular people for this contradicts that. If it's the Jews' fault, how can it be every single human being's fault, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God?
So I guess where it tilts my brain is I'll do a show like this. When I get done, I'll get off the air, and I will hear from Christians defending what you just explained. That, and that is that the Jews don't belong, the Jews forfeited their rights, so to speak.
Oh, you mean defending the anti-Semitic idea?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, well, there again, Perry, one of the reasons why I wrote the book, that it seemed to me these things are resurgent nowadays. We see prominent people, not just prominent people on the left, where leftist anti-Semitism has been strong for years, although largely unacknowledged. We also see it among people many of us admired and thought had sense, like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson. It's a shame that this is happening, but it needs to be confronted. And I think that we need to, as Christians especially, we need to rebuke this within the Christian community and show people how this contradicts the whole idea of the redemption that Christ won for us. That if only one group put Jesus on the cross, then how is he redeeming the sins of everyone? It is the sin that put him there, and nobody is without sin.
Wow. Because part of the stuff that we're seeing today and experiencing is an indicator, is the recent teaching that the Old Testament is insignificant. We don't need it today.
Well, that's the Marcionite heresy. You know, it was within the lifetime of disciples of the 12 apostles, that is, people who learned from Paul, from John, from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, from the 12 apostles, and they were still alive in the early year, excuse me, in the early years of the 2nd century, in the 130s, when there was a teacher named Marcion, excuse me, who rejected the Old Testament and taught that it was not the same God that was depicted in the New Testament. And this was officially rejected by the leaders of the church, including people who had learned from the apostles. This is something that has been a temptation of the church at various points throughout its history. During World War II, and actually before World War II, when the National Socialists took control in Germany, the church was confronted with a resurgence of Marcionism. And it again had to be explicitly rejected by the Lutheran leaders in Germany, by the Roman Catholic leaders in Germany, by other Christian leaders elsewhere, that this was not the way we understand the faith. And it's that kind of thinking actually is what gives rise to the idea that the Jews are this somehow particularly evil people, that we don't believe anymore in Romans 3:23 that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. It's just them, not us.
Wow. One last question, and again, a difficult question to ask, especially in light of the headlines today, but how would you describe the Roman Catholic faith with Judaism?
Well, they are actually one of the groups that I was referring to earlier when I was saying that Christianity is unique in having rejected anti-Semitism. And the Roman Catholic Church, I'm not a Catholic, but I have to give them credit for the fact that they were out front in this. And that's actually fitting because there is a terrible history, there's no denying it, of anti-Semitism within the Roman Catholic Church. It was when Western Europe was completely Roman Catholic that Jews were terribly persecuted. I detail all this in the book, but it was also the Roman Catholic Church at the Second Vatican Council in the mid-1960s that officially repudiated the idea that the Jews were responsible in some special way for killing the Lord, and that anti-Semitism was to be completely rejected as part of any kind of Christianity. And so other churches followed their lead on this, and that's all to the good because, well, as I explained, I don't see how this is compatible with any understanding of Christianity at all.
Are you concerned now that the Pope has passed away and they're looking for a new leader, a new, Pope here, that the relationship between the Church and Judaism, or in particular Israel, could change?
Yeah, it very much could, Perry, because this last Pope who just died, he was very bad in regard to Israel. He uncritically accepted Hamas propaganda regarding the casualties in Gaza. He uncritically accepted the whole framing of the conflict from the Hamas side, that the Palestinian people are the oppressed indigenous people of the region who've been displaced from their land. None of that is actually true. They're not the indigenous people, they're not oppressed, and they weren't displaced from their land. And I explained that actually all in an earlier book, The Palestinian Delusion. But the Pope, Pope Francis, he uncritically repeated all this, and I understand that he appointed almost half of the cardinals who are serving today, and it's the cardinals who get together to pick the next pope. So likely we will see another pope who follows Francis's line, and that could be very bad for Jews and for the relationship between the Roman Catholic Church and Israel.
Well, all right, let me take a quick break. Check out Robert's latest book, and I think you'll find it to be pretty fascinating. He's done his research on this, Anti-Semitism, History and Myth. There's a picture of the cover of the book. He has a website, jihadwatch.org. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
71.5 Golf Challenge arrives Saturday, May 17th, with a 4-person scramble, morning and afternoon shotguns, and a 6:30 award social. Register your team to win by April 1st for our early bird special. Score the team player pack for just $20 instead of $100 with code EARLYBIRDIE. Become a sponsor and help thousands of kids across Southern Oregon. Visit 715.org or call 541-779-3275 today. Remember, at the 71.5 Golf Challenge, your drive changes lives.
Looking to find loyal, reliable customers to grow your business? The Dove is a perfect place to reach them. Hello, I'm Nancy Worth, Vice President of Marketing and Sales at The Dove. The Dove, reaching over 6 million consumers on a daily basis. The Dove offers a faithful audience who will appreciate and remember your partnership. Partner with The Dove and watch your business flourish. Sound good? Find out more. Call or email me, Nancy Worth, at The Dove today.
Hello, my name is Todd Friel, host of Wretched TV, seen right here on Dove TV. You say, wretched. Does this have something to do with cats and furballs? No, it doesn't. Instead, it's understanding we are wretched sinners in need of an amazing Savior.
Okay, welcome back. Always an honor to have with us Robert Spencer. Robert has authored quite a few books. His latest one I think you'll find to be really quite informative. It's called Anti-Semitism, History or Myth. There's a picture of the cover of the book. Check out his other books, and you can do so at jihadwatch.org. And there's a picture of the landing page. So, Robert, things in the Middle East are interesting these days, seems to be heating up. There's one thing that both sides are saying, and I'm meaning the United States and Israel are both saying that Iran cannot have a nuke. But getting to a point where they would eliminate the nuke seems to be a little bit problematic at the moment. Is the United States and Israel on the same page today?
It doesn't look as if they are, Perry, as far as we can tell from published reports, but clearly there's quite a lot going on behind the scenes. Nevertheless, the published reports have been that Israel was just about to strike Iran's nuclear sites and Trump had given the go-ahead on that, but then was dissuaded by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and some others who said that this will lead to a wider conflict in the Middle East that will draw the United States in. And on that basis, Trump reversed himself and told the Israelis to hold off. Obviously, the last chapter of this story has not yet been written, however, and it would seem as if at some point Israel and or the U.S. is going to have to strike Iran's nuclear sites, or Iran's going to nuke Israel. And that's really just a foregone conclusion. If Iran has nuclear weapons, they will nuke Israel. They want to see the Israeli state destroyed. And so if they can do it, they will do it.
So is it possible that Israel would go at it alone?
Yes, it is possible. Trump gave them the green light. The Biden administration was working hard, as you know, Perry, for years to stymie Israel's war efforts. But Trump essentially has said, do what you need to do to take care of this. Now, it would seem as if it's a little bit in dispute right now as to whether that extends to Iran's nuclear program. But as I say, it's going to have to be handled one way or the other at some point, or the results could, or the consequences could be catastrophic. So if Israel has to go it alone, they probably will.
You have mentioned before that one of the things that the United States has to consider if they do attack Iran is the sales within the United States. How significant is that?
If they do attack Iran, the sales within the United States, did you say?
You know, the terrorist cells within the United States.
Oh, cells within the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a very real possibility, too. But there's really nothing that can be done about that unless somewhere, maybe in the corridors of the NSA hidden away, they actually know where these people are and what they're up to. Unfortunately, the Biden administration and the Obama administration before it have been so irresponsible and so unguarded regarding Iran that there's any number of these people in place. We already know that there was an attempt to murder the Iranian dissident Masih Alinejad a few years back in New York. There was, before that, an attempt in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. to murder another Iranian dissident. And so this kind of thing, we already know the Iranian cells are here. It's just a matter of when they're going to strike. And so if Iran is struck in its nuclear program, they might take that opportunity, but also they might continue to remain in the shadows and bide their time until some other more opportune moment that they judge. So unfortunately, we're in a situation now where there's no guarding against this. The people are already here. They're already waiting for word. I remember, Perry, back in 2008, I wrote a book called Stealth Jihad. That's a long time ago now, 17 years ago now, about nonviolent activities to spread Islam and Sharia in the United States. And in the course of researching that book, I found FBI communications saying that Hezbollah cells, and Hezbollah, remember, is just an arm of the Islamic Republic of Iran, were in place in the United States. But they had decided not to strike at any time in the foreseeable future because they were getting what they wanted via nonviolent means as it was. And they thought if they'd made a violent attack, they would bring down law enforcement on them and that would stymie their activities. So that was 17 years ago. And it's only gotten worse since then.
Is it possible, again, this is, speculation here, but is it possible that part of the administration's delay is two things? One is to let the world know that everything diplomatic has been attempted. And two, to maybe in an intelligent way notify every police force in the United States for these possible cells reacting to an attack on Iran.
Yeah, I think that it's always unwise to underestimate Trump. People tend to think, especially on the left, that Trump is some kind of a dunce. Well, a dunce doesn't amass $1 billion fortune. And clearly, this is a very savvy negotiator, a very, very smart businessman who's extremely skillful in the area of negotiations. And so it may be exactly as you're saying, that he is setting up Iran to have no leg to stand on in terms of marshaling Western public opinion. Because, of course, we know, as we were discussing before, in regard to October 7th, Israel has taken a huge beating in terms of popular opinion. And the left and the pro-jihad forces have gained the entire initiative in terms of explaining that conflict and defining it for the public. And Trump doesn't want to see that happening with Iran. So I can see that as a very real possibility, that he's making sure that they're not going to be able to lose their nuclear program while winning in terms of Western public opinion.
One other quick thing. Let us not forget that B-52s, B-2s, and aircraft carriers are now in the region.
Yeah, and that could mean that they're ready for a wider conflict or getting ready for one as we speak. And so the Gabbard calling off, the DNI Gabbard calling off the strike at some point that was recent doesn't necessarily mean that it's off for good, but just that we'll be more prepared when it does come.
Robert, you're fascinating. Where can they get your book, buddy?
It's at any, if there are any bookstores out there, then ask them to order it. And meanwhile, it's available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
What do you want the takeaway to be?
That this leads to genocide, which already happened once. It could very easily happen again, and we need to head it off.
Do you think that the supposed turn of Palestinians against Hamas in Gaza is real?
I'm not sure that it is at all. I think it might be an attempt to stifle criticism of Hamas and co-opt it so that the aid money keeps rolling in. But even if it is real, it has to be noted, it was at least reported, whether or not it's true, that some of the leaders of the anti-Hamas demonstrations in Gaza have already been killed. So it's either fake or it's being stopped by Hamas itself. neither one's a really great choice.
All right, check out the book, Anti-Semitism, History and Myth, and check out the website, jihadwatch.org. Very resourceful there. You can check out his other books and articles as well, jihadwatch.org. Robert, good to see you, buddy. God bless you. Stay in the fight.
Dude, thanks, Barry.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary